to audience questions at the end of the panel. And being American, I'm going to run this panel on time. So we are going to end when we say we are going to end. I am Virginia Zombecker. I'm the managing director of the Congo Basin Institute and a professor at the University of California, Los Angeles. Joining me today will be Dr. Alfred Ngamanda, who's the director of Gabon's National Research Center for Science and Technology of Gabon. Professor Bonaventure Sonke, who's the co-chair of the science panel for the Congo Basin and a professor at the University of Gabon. Laurent Toubeau, a researcher at the French National Institute of Research for Sustainable Development and the coordinator of One Forest Vision Initiative. Dr. Lydia Stella Kutika, the co-chair of the science panel for the Congo Basin. Dr. Raphael Shalonga, professor of hydrology and water resources at the University of Kinshasa, and co-chair of the Congo Basin Science Initiative. And Dr. Jerome Lewis, professor at University College London and the University of Leeds, and co-chair of the Congo Basin Science Initiative. I'm going to give it over to Simon, hopefully he's not laughing at his introduction.
Hi, thank you. So I'm Simon Lewis, that is Jerome Lewis, and yeah, we are not related as far as I know. So I'm going to give a talk about the Congo Basin Science Initiative.
Je vais donner la présentation sur l'initiative Sciences pour le bassin du Congo.
Wow. So it's an independent, scientist-led platform to try and drive investment into science in the Congo Basin.
Alors, c'est une initiative indépendante des scientifiques qui essaie de pouvoir conduire la science dans le bassin du Congo.
Our hope is to transform the understanding of the world's second largest area of tropical forest.
Notre but, c'est de pouvoir transformer notre compréhension de ces deuxième massif forestier du monde.
Build scientific capacity in the region and train a new generation of scientists.
Construire renforcer les nouvelles capacités scientifiques dans la région et former une nouvelle génération de scientifiques dans la région.
And use this knowledge to support sustainable development in the region.
Et utiliser ces connaissances pour pouvoir appuyer le développement durable dans la région.
This initiative started back in 2021 with a paper written by the Ministers of Environment of Cameroon, Gabon, Republic of Congo, and Democratic Republic of Congo, and scientists working in the region calling for investment in science in the region.
Alors, l'initiative avait commencé depuis 2021 par cette publication dans le journal Nature, par les ministres de l'Environnement qui travaillent dans le bassin du Congo, notamment Cameroun, Gabon, Congo, Brazzaville, République démocratique du Congo, avec les scientifiques, appelant à l'investissement majeur dans la science dans le bassin du Congo.
And in response, we held a meeting in Gabon in 2023 on the sidelines of the One Forest Summit.
En réponse à ceci, nous avions une réunion à Brazzaville en 2023 comme événement parallèle au sommet des trois bassins.
To agree to form the Congo Basin Science Initiative.
C'était plutôt le sommet d'une One Forest Vision pour pouvoir mettre en place une structure, une initiative sur les bassins scientifiques sur le bassin du Congo.
And then we work with a large number of scientists from the region and outside the region.
Alors nous sommes en train de travailler avec un nombre assez large de scientifiques dans la région et au-delà de la région.
On a science and capacity plan.
Nous avons le plan scientifique et le plan de renforcement des capacités.
with the science plan organized around 6 themes to get distributed data from across the region, across these themes.
Alors, le plan scientifique est organisé autour de 6 thématiques pour pouvoir avoir des données et former les gens.
And our capacity part of the plan for training scientists, breaking down silos, investing in leading research in the region, and investing in centers of excellence.
Alors, ça, c'est notre plan de renforcement des capacités qui essaie de pouvoir voir comment est-ce que nous pouvons enlever les clivages et puis former les gens, mettre en place les centres d'excellence et investir dans la science dans la région.
So we launched Congo Basin Science Initiative and the Science and Capacity Plan at the Three Basin Summit in October 2023.
Alors, nous avions lancé l'initiative Sciences pour les bassins du Congo au sommet des 3 bassins en 2023 à Brazzaville.
And joined the Congo Basin Forest Partnership in 2024 to enable communication of our findings with policymakers.
Et nous avions rejoint les partenariats des forêts du bassin du Congo en 2024 pour faciliter le partenariat et la communication.
And we now have 5 years of support for supporting 12 Central African research groups to co-lead the observatories, 2 in each of the observatories.
Alors, nous avons maintenant un financement qui nous aide à pouvoir avoir 12 groupes de recherche et aussi appuyer 33 boursiers au niveau des masters, au niveau des doctorats, pour collecter les données au niveau des 6 observatoires thématiques.
Great. Award 33 scholarships and have a CBSI annual conference. The first one will be in January in Brazzaville.
Alors, nous avons fourni 33 bourses et nous allons avoir notre première conférence annuelle qui sera à Brazzaville en janvier 2026.
So I'll just talk now a bit about the scholarships.
Je vais parler un peu des bourses.
So we had almost 700 applicants for the PhDs and master's scholarships.
Nous avions environ 700 candidats qui avaient postulé pour les bourses de master et de doctorat.
And almost 160 interviews, and then we selected 33 students.
Et nous avions environ 180 interviews et nous avons seulement sélectionné 33 candidats.
And these students have all started now.
Et les étudiants ont déjà commencé et les autres sont en train de se préparer pour commencer.
They are from the main Congo Basin countries, with most from DRC.
Alors, c'est pour la plupart, ils proviennent de pays du bassin du Congo et une majeure partie de la RDC.
But these are more or less proportional to the populations of the countries.
Ça, c'est un peu proportionnel à la population de nos pays.
So I'll just give 3 examples of the kind of projects.
Alors, je donne un peu 3 exemples des projets de recherche qui sont mis en place.
So one project in Gabon to study the impact of the difference in the impact in internationally certified logging concessions and logging concessions that are not certified.
Alors, un projet qui s'occupe sur l'évaluation des impacts dans des types de concessions forestières non certifiées et concessions forestières qui est certifiées.
To better show the benefits of international certification of logging concessions.
Pour pouvoir démontrer les bénéfices de la certification internationale des concessions forestières.
The next in the Land Cover and Land Use Observatory.
L'autre, c'est dans l'observatoire d'occupation des sols et de couverture des terres,
to try and understand the impact of deforestation and degradation on rainfall and temperature.
Alors, c'est pour pouvoir comprendre l'impact de la déforestation sur la pluie et la température.
So deforestation raises local temperatures and reduces rainfall, but we don't know by how much and what the impacts are, in particularly of if deforestation continues into the future. Will we hit a tipping point?
Alors, c'est que la déforestation augmente la température et réduit les pluies, mais nous ne savons pas à quel taux cela apparaît et comment est-ce que ça peut évoluer dans le futur.
And the last in the Socioecology Observatory, we have 8 students who will work with 8 different communities across the region to better understand how they are managing their own natural resources.
Alors, c'est que l'autre cas que nous présentons, c'est sur l'Observatoire des systèmes socio-écologiques, de voir comment est-ce que les systèmes sociaux impactent la biodiversité.
And to co-develop systems of them monitoring their own environment to be able to better manage their own resources as the climate and other major changes happen to their region. So they're in a better position to respond to the changes that are coming.
Alors, c'est qu'ici, nous renforçons les capacités des communautés à pouvoir mieux faire les suivis de leurs ressources naturelles, de leur environnement, pour qu'ils puissent mettre en place des mécanismes de protection ou bien de préservation des écosystèmes.
So we are starting to address and implement our capacity plan with the PhD scholarships, the annual conferences, and supporting the laboratories across the region.
Alors, nous avons déjà commencé à mettre en œuvre notre plan scientifique et notre plan de renforcement des capacités dans la région.
And the same with the science plan, because all of the training for the PhDs are the people who are collecting the data that are feeding into the observatories. So we synergistically hit both targets with one program.
Alors, le plan de renforcement des capacités va de pair avec le plan scientifique, puisque les étudiants qui sont recrutés vont travailler sur les observatoires afin de pouvoir collecter les données et produire les nouvelles connaissances.
And we have our first annual conference in Brazzaville in January, and registration is open and it's free to attend, so you're all very welcome to
Et nous
Brazzaville
avons
in
notre
January.
première conférence qui sera en janvier à Brazzaville et l'enregistrement est déjà ouvert.
So I'll leave it there unless Raphael, co-chair of CBSI, wants to add any more words.
Alors, merci beaucoup. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. Je crois que c'est ça. Tout ceci vient du fait qu'il y avait un vide critique dans la science, le renforcement de capacités, le capital scientifique humain dans la région. Je crois que professeur Lee, il y a 2 jours, il était en train de les mentionner, faire une comparaison entre les capacités scientifiques disponibles dans le bassin de l'Amazonie, estimées à 6 000 chercheurs actifs, et dans le bassin du Congo, estimé à seulement 110 chercheurs actifs. Et cela a un impact sérieux sur la compréhension même des écosystèmes, du fonctionnement des écosystèmes, et sur l'élaboration des politiques durables, de gestion durable, de préservation de nos écosystèmes. C'est comme la ministre de l'Environnement de la RDC l'avait mentionné il y a aussi quelques jours, pour dire que nous ne pouvons pas gérer ce que nous ne connaissons pas. Donc la connaissance vient en amont, les données viennent en amont, et c'est là que par là que CBSI est en train de commencer pour voir comment est-ce que nous pouvons investir dans la science produire des nouvelles informations et collaborer avec les décideurs pour que ces informations soient utilisées afin de pouvoir préserver nos écosystèmes. Merci.
Merci beaucoup. I'd like to invite the panelists to come take a seat up on the stage. On the stage, Raphael. There we go. All right. We're going to have some questions that explore data, knowledge, and strategic partnerships. So I will ask the panelists to answer some broad and somewhat challenging questions in 3 to 4 minutes. If another colleague answers a question and you want to add a small point, you can do so. But we're going to keep moving through the questions, hopefully to leave time for 1 or 2 audience questions. The first question is for Simon. How does the existence, so this is to create a platform for everybody to understand context, how does the existence of data in the Congo Basin compare to other regions? And what impact does the amount of data have on our ability to understand and manage the region?
I think it's probably fair to say that the Congo Basin region is the least, or certainly one of the least understood ecosystems anywhere on Earth. And that's, as Raphael said, there's a dearth of researchers. We did a survey at the beginning of the process of CBSI to find researchers from a Congo Basin country who had published a scientific article in a peer-reviewed journal within the past 5 years. And we found 115 people across all branches of environmental science. And in the Amazon, it's thousands of people publishing. And if you don't have a scientific workforce to collect data and publish it, then you don't have this pipeline of increasing knowledge and increasing data for people to reuse. So I think it's really important to increase the number of people doing science in the region and to make the data that we collect open access. So one of the pillars of CBSI is to make the data open access. But we need to do this in a careful way that doesn't prejudice the students who are collecting this data. So what we don't want is you immediately produce your data and put it online, and then some well-trained scientist in the US or Europe or China analyzes your data and publishes it before you've had the opportunity. So this is about making your data available when it's published to allow everyone else the free use of the data to keep building the knowledge base in order to protect these forests.
Thank you so much. And I'm going to invite the panelists to respond to the question in whichever language they are most comfortable answering in. So French or English. Please go ahead.
Thanks. Just to add some scientific contradiction to what just Simon said. We came here with a colleague from Papua New Guinea, and when we say that it's the least place in the world known, don't forget about Papua New Guinea. And so it's also important here because when we had that map of the summit of the 3 basins, 2 places were missing, Papua New Guinea and French Guiana. And here we have people from French Guiana. So I think us as scientists, we don't do politics. We have to be independent. And so please, when we consider the 3 basins, don't forget about French Guiana and about Papua New Guinea.
Bye-bye. The next question is for Bonaventure, for Prof. Sonke. Simon talked a little bit about the dearth of data and also challenges with asking students, especially students from the region, to collect data and then having it used by people with greater access to computing capabilities and analytical training. Can you tell us a little bit more about the current state of data access and accessibility in the region as somebody who manages data for a large number of forest plots? And tell us a little bit about what you think the ideal state of data would be for the region in 5 years' time.
Merci Virginia. Je pense que la question de données, elle est très sensible. Et il y a deux choses. Si on veut utiliser les données, il y a la générosité de ceux qui collectent les données et il y a aussi la confiance. Je vais vous raconter rapidement une petite histoire et je vais chuter là-dessus. Le 11 septembre 2001, je suis à Cube. Un monsieur débarque. Il avait pris rendez-vous avec moi. Il me dit, j'ai vu que vous avez collecté des données sur des transects au Cameroun. Est-ce que nous pouvons partager, ou alors est-ce que vous pouvez me donner vos données et on signe un mémorandum d'utilisation de ces données? Ça, je suis le 11 septembre 2001. Et à l'époque, les disquettes existaient encore. Je le regarde et je lui dis, est-ce que vous avez une disquette? Il me dit oui. J'ai dit, donnez-moi la disquette. Il m'a donné la disquette. J'ai copié toutes mes données brutes de 37. Je lui ai remis. Et il me dit, est-ce qu'on signe un papier? Je lui dis non. Je voudrais compter sur votre bonne foi. En fait, je parle de Simon. Je vais pouvoir compter sur votre bonne foi. Il est parti et notre collaboration a commencé à ce moment-là. Et elle va jusqu'aujourd'hui. Je dis ça pour dire, si on ne se fait pas confiance, on ne peut pas partager les données. Les données, elles existent. Mais il faut qu'on trouve les moyens de se faire confiance et de les mettre ensemble, en évitant de contourner les autres, en évitant de, comme on dit, de spolier les étudiants ou alors les personnes qui ont collecté ces données de ces données-là. Ils doivent, ou alors elles doivent avoir la primeur d'utilisation de ces données-là. Mais seulement les données d'une personne ne peuvent pas envoyer un message qu'on peut comprendre. Parce que humainement, une personne ne peut, que ce soit une personne, que ce soit une équipe de recherche, elle ne peut pas, avec ces données, donner le message que nous voulons faire entendre pour préserver les forêts tropicales. Donc, il faut les partager, mais alors, il faut aussi trouver moyen de les mettre sous le format où tout le monde a accès à ça, où tout le monde les partage. Le problème, c'est pouvoir trouver comment est-ce qu'on les collecte, sous quel format on les collecte. Et quand on se sera entendu sur le format de collecte de données, quand on se sera fait suffisamment confiance pour dire je donne mes données dans cette plateforme et quand quelqu'un veut les utiliser, la personne qui gère les données doit avoir l'humilité de dire il faut saisir tel pour avoir son consentement de l'utilisation des données. Et quand on veut les utiliser, on décrit exactement ce pourquoi on veut faire. Vous savez, quand on analyse les données pour une question, il y a d'autres questions qui se soulèvent. Mais alors, il faut aussi également, s'il y a des nouvelles questions qui se soulèvent, il ne faut pas juste utiliser les données pour ces questions-là. Il faut avoir l'honnêteté de rentrer et dire, j'ai d'autres questions, j'ai une autre question que l'analyse a soulevée. Est-ce qu'on peut poursuivre la discussion? Et je pense que si nous voulons partager, si nous avons le sens du partage, si nous avons la générosité scientifique, nous allons pouvoir mettre ensemble les données et leur poser la question et nous aurons les réponses à partir de ces données. Mais les données d'un pays, d'une équipe, ne vont pas suffire à répondre aux questions qui nous préoccupent pour la préservation des forêts tropicales et surtout des forêts du bassin du Congo, qui sont celles qui sont les moins étudiées, dont les moins connues. Merci.
Merci beaucoup. So, as our first two answers alluded to, there is a difference between data and knowledge. There's a transformation between having data and actually understanding what the data is telling you. So, our next set of questions are going to focus on this concept of knowledge. The first question is for Alfred. Data and knowledge are two different things. What are some of the key factors in being able to turn data into knowledge?
Merci, prof. Pour moi, les données ne deviennent des connaissances que lorsqu'elles répondent à des questions qui comptent pour la communauté, pour les politiques publiques. Par exemple, on peut se poser des questions en Afrique centrale, dans le bassin du Congo, où sont les forêts les plus vulnérables au changement climatique, comment ces forêts vulnérables, les changements qui vont intervenir dans ces forêts vont affecter les communautés locales. Donc, pour moi, il faut d'abord partir de la question avant d'acquérir la donnée et de construire la connaissance. Le deuxième élément qui me semble aussi important à indiquer, c'est leur utilisation par les communautés, les décideurs. Il ne faut pas simplement qu'on s'arrête à la donnée, mais qu'on aille jusqu'à leur interprétation et que l'on la mette à disposition des communautés pour qu'ils l'utilisent, pour mieux gérer leurs ressources et voir pour faire du développement. Donc, la donnée, c'est bien, elle crée de la connaissance, mais il faut que cette connaissance génère du développement. Et c'est ça la différence entre données et connaissances utiles.
Merci. And science has a little bit of a history and a reputation of discounting other ways of knowing. So scientists love data, and we like turning data into our understanding of knowledge. But there are other ways of knowing, like traditional and indigenous knowledge. And for Lady Stella, I wonder, what generally do you think science needs to do to weave in traditional and ecological knowledge with work that scientists are doing in order to advance our holistic understanding of the Congo Basin ecosystem?
Thank you. So I will just start to say that actually is a very good question. Today, for example, I want to say something. I did my PhD on Brazilian ecosystem in this state of Para, at the end of the 19th. At this time, there was some of break between science and community, local communities. We just heard that LBA was a success in Amazon. They have a lot of data. That's great. But since they have this break between scientific knowledge and communities, we stay today for almost 2 hours to get in because there are some protests. What is happening? Somewhere, we need to know that science is very good, but yet we have to communicate much more with the local communities, traditional knowledge, because what their protests, they are saying, since the 1992, we started with this climate convention of Rio, and up to now, they don't consider us for the decision that have been taken. So sometimes we can understand what is the frustration. So I think I'm from Congo Basin, and we just make the pre-launch of our first assessment report, in which we have really, I think we contribute to this chapter on traditional knowledge. We have a gaps. So we have to learn from what is happening in Amazonia to know that if we want really to make the Congo Basin go behind on science, we have to consider also traditional knowledge and to find a way how we can communicate better to make the Congo Basin, the region, go behind. So we have to learn from Amazon, not only for the success like LBA, but also to learn for Amazon for what is happening now. I heard that at 11, they block against the main entrance. So that is one of the questions. It's very dear to me because I think we cannot move forward if we still just stand at this stance without considering traditional and local knowledge. Thank you.
And I would posit that furthermore, this is a space where the Congo Basin could be a leader above and beyond what happened in LBA and what's been done in Brazil and Central America generally. Is a short anecdote, and others are welcome to add to this. We've been running a school for indigenous and local knowledge for nearly a decade that works directly with indigenous Baka, who do both data collection but also provide input on research design based on their traditional ecological knowledge. And we've had much greater success at placing camera traps, at collecting data, based on the knowledge that they've contributed to the projects. And we've been listing them as co-authors on scientific publications, but we've also been working with them to understand what they think is important, what their value system is, and how they want their knowledge to be valued beyond just scientific publications, which is really our currency of the realm. Laurent, do you want to add something?
Yes, thank you. And maybe I will just repeat what Raphael already said yesterday. We visited a campus from the University of Para here that is in a local community. It didn't take too much time to go there because we went by boat, but I think it's like 900 kilometers. I don't know how many kilometers from here by road. And it was so impressive to have the local community and the university and all the exchanges. There was a museum, they played music, and there are such great scientists on chemistry. It was really impressive. So I think university for that is also the place for social sciences and link with communities. So we have this international cooperation here that shows so much great effort, and it's so nice to be here with different countries, so much good initiatives. And I think we need to be able to work with the universities and see how we can share what is being done here in Brazil, because there is methodology. You know, we can put words, ethical words, but we need a method. And I think here what we saw a method to do what you just said, and I think it would be great with Raphael and the colleagues to sketch up that and see how we can support it.
Fantastic, thank you. Does anybody else? Good? Okay. The next question is for Raphael. And this is really forward-looking. So the last year, 2 years, have seen significant advancements in artificial intelligence and machine learning. When we were doing a year-long scoping process for Pangea, which is a comparison of the tropical Amazon and the tropical Congo Basin, one of the main things we heard from communities was they did not want to be left behind in the AI revolution, that they wanted to be able to use those products, and that they were also really concerned about data sovereignty for their data and knowledge that was informing AI products. So this is the very kind of cutting edge of where science may be going. And Raphael, my question for you is that because these advancements offer both promise and peril for advancing our understanding, what do you think are some of the key opportunities and challenges associated with deploying artificial intelligence for science in the region?
Yeah, no, thank you very much. The AI is actually, moving at a speed, very, very high speed. It's actually part of the methodology that is being used, as a cost-cutting methodology, and it's also used in natural resource management. And elsewhere, we can see that AI is being used for, detecting the deforestation, degradation of the environment, detecting the pollution, also to do some prediction. So it's actually a method of programming, but we also have to be careful on the use of AI. Currently, I can say that there are not agreed global standards on the use of AI, which is actually also a concern. especially for us as scientists. But also I can say that AI works better in place where there are already good data, you see, and we can use AI, to try to synthesize those data and provide, synthetic information to policymakers. Can have a bunch of data, for which actually you may take really much time, days or months or years to analyze, but we can actually go to AI within some minutes, get a synthesis of a message that can be delivered for policy making, decision making. But we have to be careful, as I said. This works better where there are good data. And where there are not good data, AI can also fabricate, can cook, some result for you. And then, so you end up providing findings that are not really relevant. And then, as a scientist, you disqualify yourself. And this actually, we really need, as a scientist, we really need in the scientific community to see what is good in the use of AI, what is bad, and how can we harmonize in order to provide good information and efficiently, equitably use this evolving tool of AI. Thank you.
On AI, I think almost it might seem paradoxical, but the AI increases the need for experts because you can only responsibly use AI if you're more expert in the topic than the AI, so you can understand when it's making the mistakes. So actually the training of the scientists, the experts, the specialists becomes even more important. And in our particular location of trying to understand, get an integrated understanding of the Congo Basin's climate, water, forest, society system, we need more data. And actually, AI is only as good as the training data. And there's not that much going into it from this part of the world. And actually data collection becomes even more important than it was because we can actually decrease some of the costs associated with analysis, but the data itself becomes even more important. And to your point about all the issues of the AI companies and then people taking data. So there's a database you can look up how much of your own work has been gone on into OpenAI for ChatGPT, and something like 110 of my papers were used to train that data, and a book that I wrote, I will receive nothing. Those companies are now worth hundreds of billions now.
And to that point, if anybody has seen Global Nature Watch, which is WRI's new AI-powered land use change assessment, global land use change assessment, they have started demonstrating it in public fora, and they'll be opening it to the public in the next couple of months. And you can ask Global Nature Watch to distinguish, for example, between shaded cocoa agroforestry and secondary forest in the Congo Basin, and it will give you an answer to that question. But if you ask a remote sensing scientist if it's possible to do that, they will tell you it is not. And so I think to Simon's point that the deficit of data, and to Raphael's point as well, that we have to be careful. People are using these things, and I've seen some of the demos of Global Nature Watch, and the people who are not scientists are thrilled about it. And they're going to be relying on what is likely false information about land use, especially in the Congo Basin, given the lack of data. So I think it's an important place to watch. I also say CBSI training scientists from the region to try to make sure that there are people that are in regional countries, that are in governments, that can say, hey, here's some concerns about this, or that can collect the data to feed those models, becomes increasingly important. So we've talked about data and knowledge, and we're getting into these bigger concepts of AI and land use change. And I think that when we move to these larger concepts, we also need to move beyond our own institutions and our own fields to actually have an impact. And so our last set of questions relates to strategic partnerships, which is the third theme of the panel. And Alfred has been kind enough to answer 2 questions for me. So can you tell us a little bit about dealing with the fact that scientists have a reputation for being a bit insular, a bit closed in, talking only to their own kind? What are some ways that we can and should branch out to increase the impact of our work?
Pour moi, éviter ce repli sur soi-même chez les scientifiques, c'est d'abord de faire de la transdisciplinarité, associer plusieurs disciplines pour répondre à une question de base qui permet d'améliorer les politiques publiques. Mais pour le faire, il faut qu'on construise des questions dès le départ avec les communautés, avec les politiques, car associer ces décideurs et les communautés donne la possibilité que nos travaux, nos données, nos connaissances répondent à des besoins réels et donc un impact très fort sur le système. Bien entendu, il faut construire des espaces de collaboration, de dialogue. Il faut prendre en compte les besoins des communautés, pas simplement prendre les communautés comme des simples fournisseurs d'informations, mais comme des partenaires à part entière, de mise en œuvre, de définition de la recherche, voire même de l'implémentation de cette recherche. Et il faut ensuite, je dirais, investir dans la communication et dans la traduction de ces résultats en des connaissances concrètes qui sont directement utilisées par tous pour mettre en œuvre le développement. Donc pour moi, ce sont les 3 éléments et quelques éléments qui permettent de faire en sorte que le scientifique ne fasse pas la recherche dans son bureau ou uniquement sur des questions qui sont intellectuellement très intéressantes, mais qu'il fasse de la recherche qui permet de répondre à des besoins précis de la société.
Merci.
I'm sorry. I just want to add something behind what Abdi said. We have I think for the Congo Basin, we have to date. Before the creation of SBC, Congo Basin Science Initiative and Science Panel for the Congo Basin. Yesterday, we launched pre-launch our first assessment report. And as you can see with the presentation of Simon and Raphael, that we have observatory in the Congo Basin. So that is really good starting for scientists of the region to get the networking, because networking is very important. And that will help us to move forward in the future. So I think we have a bright future regarding the region, according to all of these new initiatives in the region. I do not forget One Forest Vision also is also one of the initiatives in the region. So that is one of the way to strengthen our networking and to move forward.
Yeah, just a little bit on that, you know. So coming again to the experience of the scientific caravan that was organized by the One Forest Vision, and where we saw that really universities are entrenched into communities, you know, and this is actually a model that has not yet started working in the Congo Basin, and we should actually also learn from that model. Another model is the collaboration between the universities and private sectors, you know. For instance, in the Congo Basin, we do have mining companies that are really, you know, are doing a lot of activities, but also bringing a lot of impact. You know, these companies that are actually logging, doing deforestation and so on. How then do we, as scientists, engage with those those parties. And another model, okay, we are talking about communities. You know, how many of us in the Congo Basin are going to communities and also, you know, collaborating with communities and so on. But I think also in that case, we can take the example of Congo Pit projects, where, because going to the pitland, you know, I'm telling you, it's not that easy. So we took some, you know, we had some experience with decision makers. You know, Simon organized an event where decision makers from government, FAO, and so on had to go and visit the pitland. So not many could make it, you see. But going to the pitland, really we need to be guided by, you know, local communities. And this is actually an example that, you know, we could use. How do we explore pitland together with communities? But it should not actually be limited, ended on that. Then, how then do we get a feedback to communities on how do they manage pitland? You know, we have published and so on. Do we get feedback to the communities? And this is, I think, something in which, an area in which we still have to invest a lot as scientists. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Juste un commentaire, Virginia. Nous avons l'occasion, tous scientifiques, d'aller dans les communautés pour faire de la recherche. Mais nous n'avons jamais la présence d'esprit de rentrer les dire ce que nous avons fait de ces données-là. Combien d'entre nous associent les gens avec qui nous avons travaillé dans nos publications? Nous ne sommes pas nombreux. Je pense que les communautés se sentent valorisées quand nous revenons leur dire le travail que nous avons fait ensemble, voilà ce que ça a donné. Ça, c'est une chose. La deuxième chose, nous devons pouvoir leur expliquer dans un langage simple ce que cela veut dire. C'est bien beau de faire une très belle publication scientifique, mais mon papa, il ne sait pas ce que ça veut dire. Ma grand-mère ne sait pas ce que ça veut dire. Est-ce que ça va changer sa vie? Nous devons donc pouvoir rentrer vers ces communautés, même les gros projets que nous faisons. Nous allons utiliser les communautés pour faire les projets et quand nous avons fini, nous rédigeons les rapports, nous donnons aux bailleurs de fonds et les gens qui nous ont collectés, qui nous ont aidés à collecter les données, les gens avec qui nous avons passé tout le temps à collecter ces données ne sont même pas au courant que nous avons rédigé un rapport. Nous devons apprendre à faire des synthèses de rapports à destination des gens qui nous ont aidés à collecter ces données-là avant même de déposer le rapport au bailleur de fonds qui nous a donné l'argent. Si nous donnons l'argent et on n'en fait rien parce que les communautés ne nous reçoivent pas, on n'aura rien fait. Et on ne va pas résoudre le problème de la conservation des bassins du Congo que nous voulons résoudre. Je vous remercie.
Merci. Our last question from the moderator is for Laurent. One Forest Vision Initiative has been, I think, a leader in trying to pull people together across these different basins. And I'm hoping you can give us one recent example of a success that came from strategic partnership. And then also talk to us a little bit about where we can do more to coordinate within scientific initiatives in the region.
Thank you very much. I will take the opportunity again to have a representative of French Guiana here. They yesterday signed an agreement with the space agency in Gabon. And story about that started in Brazil a long time ago when the World Bank produced a report on deforestation in the Amazon that was totally wrong, and they asked Brazil to take this report in account. And that's how GEO starting asking to open the Landsat data and etc. In France is the first country to support Earth observation in Europe historically, supporting ESA and Copernicus today. And we also have some private Earth observation, very high resolution satellite. And the idea is how can we open that? Many countries ask, how can you open spot data, Pléiade data? And we work with countries and with regions. And we work with French Guiana, and they have their own capacity to program the satellite. And they can, from French Guiana, program the satellite in any of the 3 basins and do cooperation. And so when we sign an agreement like that with Guyana, French Guiana, having their own capacities, their own processing, and they want to collaborate, this is a very good example because of course they share the same problems that we say here, and they are able to do it alone. And France in Metropole, we are here to support, but they do it themselves. So this is one thing. The other thing is, when you talk about AI, about data, it's not only about Earth observation, it's in situ data, it's also citizen science data. And the idea is how, because, you know, really AI is the best transdisciplinary research tool to go across things with neural networks. I did neural networks in '96. It was difficult. Now it's so easy. And so the idea is we need public infrastructure of data to work with the private sector also, but we need to have a strong public infrastructure in the country. Also at the regional level, you have OFAC and COMIFAC in Central Africa. We should work on that. And then, of course, there will be a competition around with the private sector with services, but you need this basis that you are strong politically, and you don't risk to lose everything because, you know, one company was too strong and took everything. So we really have to be really serious on that. And I think with the people here, from the USA, from England, from all the countries in Central Africa, from French Guiana, I think we collectively, we can make the difference on that. And Brazil will help. We are here also at this COP to have Brazil supporting. We would like to have much more students. I've done my PhD during LBA, working with US colleagues. And I hope many African students can have the same chance. And we would like to send a lot of them in Brazil. So we are discussing here with CAPES and CNPq. They have money for that. They, for example, make lunch. They have scholarships that are open, but no one in Africa knows about it. So just translate it in French. And when I see these 160 students that here Bayside, and we identify a smaller number like 70 in Gabon only, let's say that 300 students we identify, give the names to CAPES and CNPq and see who we could support, you know. So like, if we do this collectively, we really can make a difference. Also, we can send some students in French Guiana here at UFPA. So I think if we do that, and if we are serious on the data, on the public infrastructure, on the ethical way of doing collaboration, and we do this collectively, we don't have too much time. I always say, you know, we're in the Amazon, we saw deforestation went down 11% from last year. In Central Africa, if we don't do something really strong in the next 5 years, it will be too late. That's my feeling. It's a personal feeling. So I hope collectively we just do it.
Thank you. That's a very, I think, cogent and effective plea for continued and increased coordination among the initiatives and among the countries as well. We have a moment or two for audience questions. If anybody in the audience has a question. He got his hand up first.
Thank you very much. My name is Mr. Onya. I'm an expert geologist working for Ministry of Mine, Democratic Republic of Congo. So I have one preoccupation. During your conversation here concerning Congo Basin, I hear that you need more data in Congo Basin. So I would like to know what kind of data exactly you need in Congo Basin. Somewhere you speak that you need collaboration between you and the local community. So I would like also to know, when you meet local community, which data you need from local community. Thanks a lot.
Who on the panel wants to take first the data piece, and then the same or a different person could take the community piece? You want to get a bunch of questions and you're going to remember all of them? Oof, you guys are better than me. Okay.
Okay. Emmanuel Tzadok, pour le compte du ministère de l'Environnement. Je suis au cabinet de Madame la ministre. République démocratique du Congo. Ok, je suis au cabinet. Alors, d'abord, je remercie le panel et je remercie l'initiative parce que j'ai participé au lancement en 2023 au Congo-Brazzaville, au sommet des 3 bassins. Et je trouve que beaucoup de choses ont été faites. Et nous avons suivi avec beaucoup d'intérêt la caravane qui a été faite sur l'Amazonie. Alors, quand le professeur Simon et le professeur Raphaël ont intervenu, ils ont présenté une information qui nous touche, nous, en tant que gouvernement. C'est la masse critique de scientifiques qui sont engagés dans la recherche au niveau du bassin de l'Amazonie. C'est en termes de millions ou de milliers, mais à comparer dans le bassin du Congo, une centaine. Les chiffres touchent. Alors la question que je me pose, serait-il possible pour l'initiative de pouvoir avoir une approche différenciée d'intervention, d'appui pour la formation? Je m'explique. Le bassin du Congo est pluriel, il y a plusieurs pays, mais les besoins n'est pas le même. S'il faut atteindre cette masse critique, comme à l'exemple de nos collègues du bassin de l'Amazonie, l'intervention de Congo Basin Initiative devrait être en principe différenciée selon les besoins de chaque pays. Je donne le cas de la RDC. S'il y a une intervention pour le Congo, en termes par exemple de bourses d'études pour les PhD, pour le master, est-ce qu'on peut aller dans une approche différenciée par rapport à la superficie du pays et les autres membres du bassin du Congo sans discrimination pour essayer un peu d'avancer? Parce que je me dis, si on forme moins, on a toujours le besoin de l'autre côté en RDC et je ne pense pas que la vision qui est la vôtre pouvait être atteinte rapidement par rapport aux défis qui sont les vôtres. Je m'excuse d'avoir été un peu long, mais le besoin, c'est une intervention différenciée selon les pays par rapport aux besoins de chaque pays. Merci.
Thank you so much. We're getting very close to time, so let's answer the 2 questions we have and see where we're doing. I think the panelists can stay after if there's additional questions.
Merci Virginia. Je vais réagir directement aux préoccupations de monsieur. Je pense qu'il faut qu'on distingue 2 choses. Nous devons d'abord nous prendre en charge. Et ça, c'est ce que je dis toujours. L'Amazonie l'a fait. Et nous ne devons pas attendre que tout vienne nous trouver sur place. Je pense que, oui, c'est bien, l'intervention doit être différenciée. Mais je pense que quand nous demandons à quelqu'un de nous aider, nous ne pouvons pas lui montrer le panier vide. Nous devons montrer que le panier, il est à moitié plein. Et c'est à ce moment-là qu'il va compléter ce que nous avons dans le panier. Ça, c'est une chose. Deuxième chose, si nous devons faire une intervention différenciée en tenant compte de la superficie des pays, il faut aussi que la contribution de ces pays-là soit proportionnelle à leur superficie. Je pense que si on va dans cette logique-là, on va faire éclater ce que nous avons envie de faire. Nous devons suivre l'exemple que CBCI met en place, c'est-à-dire les centres d'excellence. Les centres d'excellence ne doivent pas être pour des pays, mais c'est pour la région. Et on doit envoyer, quand on parle de centres d'excellence, c'est centres d'excellence. Et à côté, les gouvernements peuvent aussi décider de mettre la main à la poche. Et ça, c'est ce que nous ne faisons pas encore. Les Européens, par exemple, j'ai dit ça il y a 3 ans, il y a des fonds européens auxquels les autres n'ont pas accès. Parce que c'est eux qui ont mis leur argent sur la table. Ils disent, ce ne sont que les Européens qui ont accès à ces fonds-là. Pourquoi nous, les Africains du bassin du Congo, nous ne pouvons pas créer des fonds comme ça? Il y a une volonté politique qui doit agir en ce moment avant que nos bailleurs de fonds internationaux viennent nous accompagner. Si nous ne faisons pas ça, on ne va pas s'en sortir.
Laurent?
on the question of data, if you look at the global climate change models going forward for the Congo Basin region, the average of all the models shows a slight wetting. So all the models get warmer, but also get slightly wetter. But if you look at the individual models, there are two groups, and they are completely separate from each other. One group of models says you get a quite dramatic drying, and another group of models say you get quite a dramatic wetting. And you take the average of them, and it doesn't look like much change. And we don't know which ones are more likely. And the reason why we don't know which ones are more likely is partly because there is very little climate data from the region, weather station data, in order to parameterize those models. And the second is we don't really understand about how the convective rainfall is generated in this region and why it is generated. So if you compare the Amazon and Southeast Asian rainforests with the Congo Basin has much lower rainfall. And nobody knows why. How can we be in the 21st century and not understand about some of the very basic things about this planet? And it's a lack of investment. And it's actually just a lack of care for this part of the world. It's not been deemed important. This part of the world has not been deemed important enough to get it high enough on the agendas of scientific funding to make this happen. And this is what we hope to change with CBSI and lobbying, that these questions are important and this region is important. So I think that's just one example of where we're lacking data.
Merci, et je vais vous répondre en français, permettre de vous répondre en français, si c'est possible. Votre question, sachant que vous venez du ministère des Mines en RDC, elle est très importante. De quels sont les besoins pour les gestionnaires de mines en RDC pour se poser la question des risques, du développement durable autour des mines ou de la restauration après les mines. On a vu des exemples, par exemple au Brésil, où vous avez 3000 lacs de rétention. Il y a un lac sur une rivière qui s'appelle le Rio Doce qui a cassé et qui a pollué pour de très très nombreuses années une rivière avec le peuple Krenak et avec notamment un grand chef de cette communauté, Ailton Krenak, qui a écrit un livre « Comment retarder la fin du monde » que je vous conseille de lire. C'est un petit livre en français. Et ce livre, il raconte l'histoire d'une rivière et il raconte l'histoire de la gestion minière et des risques associés. Le Brésil, depuis, a mis en place des lois qui obligent un suivi avec des données très précises sur l'état des barrages, les risques associés. C'est des données sur l'hydrologie, sur les poissons, sur les forêts, sur les communautés locales. C'est toutes ces données qui permettent de faire une bonne gestion. Il faut une vraie capacité au niveau d'un pays. C'est pour ça que l'on a soutenu, par exemple, l'entrée de la RDC au Géo pour avoir une vraie capacité de gestion, par exemple, des données satellitaires. Mais la réponse à votre question est très compliquée et va dépendre beaucoup de votre capacité à faire de l'interministériel et à associer la science dans votre manière de gérer. Sinon, vous ne serez pas capable de gérer. Et si vous aurez un accident, vous en découvrirez malheureusement les conséquences ou vous ferez des choix qui ne seront pas les bons. Donc vraiment, la science doit être au plus près des ministères. Et de ne pas avoir une science opposée, une science de l'environnement opposée aux mines. On sait bien qu'il y a des mines et qu'il faut qu'il y ait des mines pour avoir des téléphones portables et de l'intelligence artificielle. L'idée, c'est comment est-ce qu'on le fait de façon beaucoup plus intelligente. Et ça, c'est des choses sur lesquelles je pense la coopération internationale est prête à vous accompagner.
Thank you so much. And to finish I'm sorry, we don't have more time for questions, but the panelists will be around, and I really appreciate the kind of level of engagement and the thoughtfulness of the questions. I do want to invite up Dr. Lee White as the special advisor to the science panel for the Congo to give us some final thoughts and close out the panel.
Thank you. I think I have 1 minute. I am the special envoy of the science panel for the Congo Basin. My job is to be a bridge between scientists, policymakers, governments, donors. This morning I went to the forest. I saw the one species that I know of tree that is in both sides of the Atlantic. I was walking with Yadvinder Mali, and he said that he had a postdoc collaborator, trained scientist, who used AI to create a league table of first author publications by native South American scientists and American scientists on the Amazon. And recently, the native South American publications overtook the US. And so our job is to make sure that publications by the native Congo Basin scientists overtake those published by Europeans. 25 years ago, I must be getting old, I tried to raise money to train 100 PhDs. I tried MacArthur Foundation, I tried Moore Foundation. Everybody told me you can't do anything in the Congo Basin. It's no point. Moore Foundation turned their back completely and said it's just too difficult. We can't do anything. Well, yeah, we're in a crisis now, so now we need to train 1,000 PhDs in the next decade in the Congo Basin. And I propose that as a sort of a rallying cry, 1,000 PhDs for Congo Basin for the next decade. And I will use all my energy to help you put that together. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Lee. I think that's a great vision to end on. I'd like to thank our panelists for their insightful contributions and to all of you for joining. And we can continue to linger and sweat profusely if you have questions for people.
Can we highlight